Hi Scorpio, it's Jenny here with your September Tarot Horoscope. So as always, we're just going to pull a single card for the month of September. So we have the September equinox coming up towards the end of the month. So that's going to be the spring equinox if you're in the southern hemisphere and the autumn equinox if you're in the northern hemisphere. Before that, we're in Virgo season, and then after equinox, we'll be in Libra season. So that's what's going to be kind of astrologically coming up for you. And I have a card for you, Scorpio. The card is the Nine of Wands in reverse. So this is the way he looks, the right way up. So we have this big kind of autumn forest here. We have this man kind of walking in the path there. All these wands are forming these big trees here. And then underneath we have this kind of webbed kind of green man down there. And I came out upside down like that, okay? So we're going to see here, Nine of Wands. Okay, Nine of Wands. Stalking. This card is a symbol of searching, of awareness, and of intuitive perception. Many things are growing, see the Nine Wands, and changing, the autumn scene. Like a hunter stalking his prey or a scout exploring the way, you need to be intuitively alert and vigilant. Naturally, this card is not about the actual hunter or scout as a profession. It is a symbol of heightened awareness as a personal way of being. If your perception has been heightened, you will be better able to understand the motives and hidden interests behind certain actions. Thus, you will be able to discover the green man in the woods. This figure appears in many traditions. He symbolizes nature around us and within. Dali depicts his green man with frog's feet, thus making him an amphibious creature living between water and earth. He reaches out to the stalking hunter. On the one hand, this card shows us the final goal of all our searching. Intuition and awareness are the path as well as the destination, the journey as well as the reward. Sometimes we get lost in routine and repetition. We fail to perceive the great mystery that is awaiting us. On the other hand, this card encourages us to say goodbye to the uncivilized life of a semi-barbarian. Intuition and awareness serve to overcome certain primal fears. Let go of redundant instincts and presumptions. Trust your actual perceptions and learn from all your experiences. Practical advice. Your actual situation challenges you to become more vital and to live life to the fullest. Abandon your old fears and fulfill your most important wishes. Activate your senses and learn to recognize outdated habits. Okay, Scorpio. So what this card is really kind of crying out for right now is being in the present moment. And being in the present moment in a kind of primal way that really puts you into your intuitive and instinctual kind of animal self. So if you're in this idea of being in the woods, being like stalking in some way, whether you are the predator or the prey, you have to be in the moment. If you just are daydreaming about, last times you did, or just kind of wondering what's going to happen later, you're going to miss the moment. You're going to lose your prey, or you're going to get caught by something. So you have to be tuned in, not just like in a way that we as humans living in, for the most part, in cities or in kind of more urban areas, we have created safety and pattern and routine enough that we can go on autopilot all the time. We kind of know what to expect. There's not a lot of the wild and the uncertain that happens that causes us to really have to be in that present moment and to be aware of everything that's happening. And so a lot of us have kind of lost the skill, or it's something that we really need to practice because there's only certain things that really, really pull us into the present. And a lot of the time, those are bad things. Like if you're suddenly in danger, suddenly in pain, something suddenly happens, it pulls you into the present. But how can we cultivate that more often? How can we just be in the present and being aware of our own state and of the state around us, and being not just in the primal animal instinctual way, but in the kind of more elevated intuitive way. So instinct and intuition are two very kind of similar components, but they have kind of different kind of goals in mind. Instinct is what keeps us alive. It's about survival. So it's that tapping into things that isn't necessarily rational, that we can trace why we know it, but it's about survival. And it's keeping our animal self safe. Intuition is more about elevation or that thriving that we search for. So it's not just about keeping us safe, it's about helping us grow. But again, it's something that doesn't necessarily explain itself rationally. It's not always a reason, oh, I got a sudden brainy connection. It's just this kind of knowing. And so instinct and intuition both pull us into the present moment, and they force us to listen to subtle things that we can't just explain away or see really obviously. But they also have two different directions, because survival is keeping you in your comfort zone, and intuition and growth is about stretching and maybe pushing you out of your comfort zone. So, and both of those things are very important. We can't always grow. We must also be safe, and we can't always stay safe, or else we will atrophy and not change. So it's a very interesting skill to have to develop, both how to tell the difference between the two, how to respect them both, understand when you should be listening to both, but they really, really require you to have a presence and an openness to receive information that doesn't necessarily make sense. So that's what you're really being invited to practice this month, is this presence, so that you can tap more into the present moment and be able to connect to your intuitive and your instinctual selves. One of the things for you, Scorpio, one of the, it can be a downside, and it's also not every Scorpio is going to experience this, but the Scorpio is a fixed water sign. So it's a water sign, meaning emotions, and fixed is very steady and not necessarily very flexible. So a lot of the time that Scorpio, you can be really quite lodged in the past. So holding on to an emotional experience. That can also have you in the present too, but it's not quite allowing the flow to go through, or holding on to an emotional experience of the past, a trauma of the past, a good time of the past, and not being able to move away from that, just feeling this golden time when things were amazing, and not being able to let that change and pull you into the present of what's true now. Somebody may have wronged you back then, but what's true now? Something may have hurt you another time. What's true now? Something may have been amazing in a heyday back then. What is true now? Really trying to pull you into the present, because you can't just make choices based on what you're maybe holding on to emotionally. There can be a lot of wisdom and the ability to, some people try to move through things way too fast, and they're like, I don't want to think about it. So it's not that it's a bad thing to have a very strong fixed hold on your emotional experiences, but you don't want it to be a weight or a distraction that means that you're living back here when you're trying to pull into this present moment and have this greater awareness. So that's this kind of invitation, is how do you have your emotional fixedness be a strength and a richness and not a dead weight? And how can you be in this practice of instinct and intuition to land in the present? Because it's only if you're in the present that you're going to be tapped into what your actual current situation is, therefore what your actual next steps are going to be. What do you really want now? So what are you going to manifest for the future? Not just living in the past, so your future just kind of comes at you, and you're just kind of holding on to things, and so your future just repeats itself. If you're not in the present, your future is just going to become the same thing. So this season, now we're in Virgo season to start, and Virgo is an earth sign, is also a flexible sign, and is also quite is one of the aspects of Virgo is ritual, and also being in the body. So a hint that can help for being in the present is being in the body. You have a physical body, it's now here giving you sensations currently. So if you're stuck in an emotional past, how does your body feel? If you're trying to come into a presence, what does your body feel? A lot of the time, instinct and intuition speaks to us through the body, through a feeling in the gut, through heart racing, through sort of some sort of sensation. So a great way to practice intuition and instinct is to get in the body state. Be aware, though, Virgo season as an earth sign also comes with it often a feeling of anxiety, because Virgo is very, very critical and likes to analyze and take a look at things. So it's really analytical, which can be super, super helpful, but can also get into a kind of nervous, anxious loop. So that is one of the things that is very tricky when trying to figure out instinct and intuition, is distinguishing that from anxiety. And anxiety will often tend to go more into the instinct capacity, because anxiety is also trying to keep you safe. So just because you feel something doesn't mean it's a magical intuitive hit. Just because your gut starts to get a little freaked out doesn't mean that somebody's vibe is all wrong. It could be your anxiety. And so this is why it is a skill to practice. This is why presence and a sense of calm is a great way to be able to receive, and also to check in with people that you trust in wisdom as well. If you're feeling something and you're like, I don't know is this anxious? Is this whatever? Check in with somebody else. You don't have to do it alone. After equinox, equinox is this time of balance, and then we're rolling into Libra season. And Libra is a great sign and a great time to be in connection with another person. It's a sign of relationships and partnerships, and even like business connections and associate and affiliates with somebody, is working with somebody for another goal. And so it's a very relational sign. It wants to spend time with other people. So it is a really great time then, especially if you sort of had a little bit of that like anxious time in Virgo season where you're like, I'm really trying to sort out my instincts and intuition, I'm really trying to be present, really trying to have my emotional connected fixedness be a positive thing and not just a weight. Then in Libra season, like, go and spend time with people, spend time with your friends, spend time with lovers or partners or other people where you can be in relationship and seek counsel with them and kind of get their perspective on things and how do they do things. So you don't have to do it all alone. Libra season is a great time to throw off some of that maybe lone wolf sort of feeling or kind of martyred thing of like, I'm just doing it all on my own and I can't bother people with things. So that's kind of the invitation here. Landing in the present, feeling into our bodies, trying to be in a calm state and working on the skill of discerning anxiety, instinct, and intuition all from each other, and then working in connection with other people so that we're not alone and we lean on the strengths of others. So that's what I've got for you, Scorpio. Looks like it's going to be an interesting month for you. Lots of really great opportunities, but if you can really work on this skill, it's going to be something that really just ups your quality of life because you will be living in the now and not just in all of these other kind of emotionally loaded places. So that's what I'm going to leave with you. If you want any assistance, especially in Virgo season, while you're kind of sorting through what's anxiety and what isn't, take a look at my Virgo season Pay What You Can workshop. It's got a lot more information, especially on some of the planetary transits that are going to be happening. We've got a lot of retrogrades that we're in, so that already can kind of have us in a bit of a weird kind of feeling. So check that out so that you're aware and not blindsided by anything. And then again, towards the end of the month, the Libra season and equinox workshop will be available to you as well. So check that out, and best of luck, Scorpio. I'll see you next month.